So Jack Johnson has announced a couple ways he's trying to help out in this incredibly transformational time that we find ourselves in. And he's got Songs for Maui, live benefit record, and that features Paula Fuga and John Cruz. And then he's also got this concert, and that's going to be on Monday the 18th at the Republic. And all proceeds to benefit fire relief efforts help provide ongoing support for Maui, and a great opportunity. Unfortunately, but it's a good time to get to talk to him at least. Jack, welcome back, my brother, and thank you for taking time to talk about your stuff with us.
Hey, what's up, Dave? Appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much.
And really walk me through, I guess, on your own, because it's, as we were saying someday on the air recently, it can touch people in so many different ways, and I think depending on your proximity to what has happened, whether it's through people or places or experiences that you now have lost as a person, you have that connection. So for yourself, when did you first hear all of this stuff was happening, and what were you thinking and feeling, and what are your own personal connections there to Lahaina that were threatened and or lost?
Yeah, well, woke up that morning and just, started seeing a lot of texts coming in, and we have some real close friends that live up Kula, and there were some fires up there at first, and so we were checking on them, and just a lot of memories from when I was a little kid of being in Lahaina. We used to go on like Hawaiian sailing canoes quite a bit when we were kids. I had an uncle that had one rigged up, and we would go on camping trips, and we usually launched from right there, and so like Malo Wharf area, and then we'd come in afterwards, and we'd take all our gear off right there at the Lahaina Harbor, and just go get ice cream, and kind of I just remember being in that area from when I was real young, just every once in a while, not all the time or anything, but every few summers I'd get to be in that zone. When we'd be on Maui, we'd at least go through, and so to kind of hear the news that morning, like for so many people, was just surreal, and my heart was broken. So just, want to send all my love right now to all the people of Lahaina and to that community. It was heartbreaking then, and it's been a month now, and it's still just, it's just so much work to be done, and I just know that community is really hurting right now. And so just, I want to send love, and just want to let people know that we're here, and we know it's hard to know unless you're there what you need, and so we're listening, and we just want to give as much support as we can when the time is right, and figure out ways that we can be supportive from outside to hear their vision and what the next step should be, and then come in and help out however we can.
So, and so many folks with that same approach, and so you've got the show. Let's talk about that first and give people an idea of how, because it's also unique because you've got two other cats up there who themselves are touched and have their own, like you said, their own personal, it could be an aunt or uncle or some family member, some excursion, some memories that are really critical in their own, what makes them happy to remember. I'm thinking of Paula and John, obviously, but when you think about putting the show together, when did you reach out to them? Talk about maybe coming up with that.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think as soon as everybody started hearing the news, when a little time settled in, and a lot of musician friends started kind of contacting each other about, hey, what can we do? And there were some real fast ones that came together. Hawaii Sessions. I was able to do a video for that. There's a lot of different events started being talked about, but it was hard to kind of figure out time everybody could do one. Some started making sure they weren't going to like step on each other's toes, and so I think they'll have to continue being shows for a long time, for Maui.
Sure.
But this one was we said, hey, let's at least just get one with our friends at the Republic. They told us the dates they had. My band was going to be on island. We're going to be rehearsing for some shows over in California and East Coast, and so we tried to just line one up when my band was going to be here, and we could have Republic for the night. And I figured out what night John and Paula were both available, and we decided to at least do one. It's a smaller venue than we've normally been playing in Hawaii, which is it'll be nice for people who are in there. It's going to be an intimate gig, and so that's how the idea came together. Of like, let's at least get together and do a show as we're all on the island at the same time.
It is an intimate one. I was wondering about, because as you pointed, the scope of this is, that's we talk about it in a I don't know. Do you listen as often as you used to listen? Then you might know. I mean, it's we talk about this all the time, and when you talk about the scale and you say you're going to need a lot of benefit shows, man, it's going to rechange, reframe life for people, especially people like you who grew up here and have such even more. I mean, I've been here 21 years, but you have such an intimate and the same with Paula and John. Did they have a not that you can speak with them, but did they have any? I know we're going to talk about the record in a moment, which was recorded there on Maui. But are there any particular connections that they expressed to you, and you're talking to them about their own relationship with Lahaina?
Yeah, definitely. They both have family. They're affected and just really close to people in that area. And so all of us are talking about best ways to support. I think right now what we're going to be doing is just starting a fund that will be, for ongoing efforts. In the beginning, we all have to think about ways for the immediate relief of food and shelter, and then people are going to be having to think about how to rebuild and then how to rebuild community. And there's so much important work to be done for so long. And so really at this point, we're in the listening phase. Like I was saying, we're in the research phase, making sure to hear people that have been there for generations and, get guidance on best ways that we can support, because we're just coming in from outside and we just want to help how we can. And so, yeah, John and Paula and I, besides being musical friends and wanting to figure out ways to raise funds, I think there's a lot of conversation beginning even amongst us three about best ways to support. And it'll, keep evolving. I think right off the bat, we've already been donating to a lot of the food groups, Chef Hui, we're good friends, and Maui Food Bank, Maui Hub, Common Ground Collective, Hawaii Community Foundations, Maui Strong Fund. I mean, those are all places that we've been contributing to before, and now with this show. And like you said, a show can raise funds for a moment, and that's really where the idea came. It popped in my head that, maybe we could do some kind of a song or something that could in perpetuity be raising funds for Lahaina. And so I thought about, this show that Paula and John and I had done. I remember it being a really fun show, and we had a good time playing at the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. And so I went back to try to find if there was a song we could put out. And then as I started listening, I was like, that one sounds nice. This one's, and all 10 of the songs we did this one night just all had a really good uplifting feel, and you could feel the love from the audience.
Yeah, and it can make any song a little bit spicier. If you have the right person singing it, suddenly Happy Birthday becomes a magical odyssey.
Yeah. So I started contacting John and Paula about putting out an album. And what I love about the idea of doing the album is that, 20 years from now, hopefully it'll still be able to contribute to that community. And so anyways, that's where the idea for doing a live album came together, too.
Right, I get it. But longevity of something like that as a continual means that people can use to support, because it's going to take that long. You'll probably end up doing more things like that, obviously, because it's going to transcend this era and be, I can't even, it's the scope of this and trying to move forward in a respectful, paced way, amidst all of the challenges and housing and so many unknowns. It's a bit mind-boggling.
It's so much to think about, and it's really all we know is that we want to contribute in some way and to send love, and so we're just doing it the best way we know how, which is to play music. Right. And the group of songs it's uplifting group of songs too. I mean, that's the thing about Paula and John is whenever we get together, we end up playing a lot of my favorite songs because they're not all mine. They're some of Paula's and John's, and it's so we just you said, it's overwhelming to think about all the work that needs to be done, but we're gonna at least jump in and try, and just give it our all to be there and start supporting now, and we'll have to just see how it all goes and continue to work on it.
Yeah, well, as for fans who are hardcore fans, and I know that you have them out there, there are a lot of these songs that are part of folks' lives that, like Banana Pancakes gets kind of reframed because there it is on this all of a sudden. And it is a great way for people who already have Jack as part of their listening habits, to make a commitment in that way, and certainly it'll be something that continues to resonate. And those two cats, and that was a tour you did. I remember you at the Hawaii Theater. This is 2012 for folks. So this record was recorded in 2012. If you do or don't remember, or maybe you weren't here or whatever, Jack and Paula and John did this short little acoustic tour sort of thing, as I remember it happening around the islands. And I remember the show at the Hawaii Theater, and then this is like the corresponding gig over at the Mac. Dialing back though on those two, because that was a long time ago and obviously close buds. When did you first, as a youngster, connect with Paula? How old were you when you and Paula, let's say, for example? When did you first meet? What's the story there?
Yeah, so I think I'd put out a couple albums, so I must have been, it's funny that you bring this up, because here I am stumbling. If Paula was on this call, she would tell you exact dates. Yeah. She has a really crazy memory where she's like, it's almost photographic or something, and she always laughs at me because like I'm years off when I try to do things. But to my recollection, it was probably 2005 or something that we first met. And I had heard her. I was at a kickball tournament with some old friends that we all got together, and for a couple of years we were doing this little kickball tournament. And one year, that after like a couple of years going in, all of a sudden there was live music over there, and it was off to the side on this kind of like little PA system somebody brought, and the music sounded good. It was like solid music. And then all of a sudden I heard this voice, and I was just like, "What? Who is this?" I mean, imagine. We all, in Hawaii, we all know what Paula Funga sounds like now, but I guess I'm like challenging you to think back to what it would be like if you're just at a kickball tournament, about to come up and asking it for slow and smooth or baby bounce, and you're going to kick the ball, and then all of a sudden you start hearing this voice at the soccer field, and I look over, and it was Paula, so after our game, I just wandered over there and listened more, and then when she was Pau, I just walked up and started talking story, and we talked about real quickly about, hey, maybe we could make music together. And so within a pretty short amount of time, I forget if it was weeks or months or whatever, but Paula could tell you. But we ended up in the studio, and we worked on the song Country Road that she had written.
Right.
And ever since then, we've done a lot of recordings together now, and we've toured all around the world together. She's come to do the opening spot, and then also to come and sit in with our band in quite a few places around the world. I feel lucky to get to collaborate with her music.
No, and to take her music there and introduce her to people all over the planet, which is in a lot of ways being an ambassador for the islands. What's the most, because I didn't realize you had that aspect of which is also rewarding to give that back to her. What's the most fun? I'm sure there's a lot of them, but just one that makes you laugh or have fun, a great place that you were together, maybe having a meal or being at a site somewhere way, way, way away from Hawaii, getting to share each other's company?
The one that just popped in my head, it's not like a great punchline or anything, but just an image I have in my head is racing. This one venue we got to, they had golf carts. And there was this sort of this area where we kind of figured out you could do races. This is not a great tip for kids or anything, but I just remember Paula, she was so excited, and she just kept wanting to race. And so I just think about gunning it next to her on these golf carts. And we were probably like Minneapolis or somewhere like that. But I think that the memory that's almost like at every venue that I can think about, like the thing in Hawaii when we play, and I want to give John Cruz props too. He's the same thing. Like here, it's like when I invite them out, the name alone gets the cheer now because people know what they're about to hear. But the cool thing about traveling, might be in Australia, might be in New Zealand, might be in Brazil, wherever it is, it's like to invite Paula out and nobody had heard of her yet, and
right.
Then I would just know it was coming, and as soon as she would sing, it was like the whole audience would just react, and I would get to just see that every night of all these people just literally just hearing her voice the first time in a song. Everybody put their hands over their head, and I would, I just get goosebumps thinking about it right now. But
yeah.
It's pretty fun when people don't know what's coming and then they get to hear her voice.
Yeah, the power of an incredible artist, or because also what you're talking about, people's voices are so particular. It's even more, it's the most personal thing you can do. You can play an instrument, but the voice, I guess, is the most personal one. So
yeah, and it really is the way she uses it is like an instrument. And we talk about that with our band a lot. When we have sit-ins, when somebody's a master of whatever they're playing, might be a horn, might be a guitar, might be drums. Sometimes I end up playing music with a lot of like folk musicians, and they're sing decent. They're like me, whatever, just like good enough. And then you got to pick a really good song, and it's like
Right.
you perform the song in the way you can. But when Paula joins us, it's like an actual instrument, that she's mastered, and it's it's the most personal one, like you said too. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and it can make any song a little bit spicier. If you have the right person singing it, suddenly, "Happy Birthday" becomes a magical odyssey.
Yeah, yeah.
And John, you mentioned him, and and we only started. I was just doing, ladies first. I was going with Paula there, but John's a cat you've had a long association with, and the same. And a lot of people don't know it. I'm sure they're equally curious and satisfied getting to learn like the great stories you just told about how you cemented and developed your relationship really with Paula. Where does John Cruz fit into that? Tell us the same story.
Yeah, first time. So was it the very first Kokua festival? I feel like that we did. I reached out. We didn't know each other yet. I had a friend that was kind of friends with John. Like they had his number, and we talked real quick on the phone. And he's pretty mysterious. Like John is. He's a mystery in the sense of one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet in your life. And when you get to know him really well, he can be really talkative and like just a charismatic character. But like first time I talked to him on the phone, he was kind of like, "Hey, how's it going? Okay, yeah, I'll
Right.
come. Okay, all right, shoots, I'll see you there." And like I wasn't sure if he was showing up or not after the phone call, and then it was like didn't come until it was like the show had already started, and he wasn't on the bill, so it was okay. But it was like we had talked about him coming and sitting in, and sure enough, he comes rolling in. He's got his guitar on his back. "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, you guys ready?" And he just jumps up there and like sings Island Style and Shine On and stuff, and it was just like whoa. And then after that one time hanging, we became good friends, and I won't see him for like a year, and then we get to see each other again at some festival or just catching up, and it's like just old friends catching up now. And I love his sense of humor. I feel like that's one of the things when somebody has a really good sense of humor, they learn how to tap into that thing of being human and just like understanding the absurdity of life and being able to tap into that. And John's a true, could be a comedian if he wanted, he's that witty. And so I love hanging out with John. I love his lyrics. He's really a great lyricist, great folk musician, great artist all around.
Now he's a charismatic cat. Great descriptions you've provided. And back to that record, just to give another plug for Jack's record, which is supporting the crisis on Maui. And we heard about Country Road, and he also mentioned Island Style, talking about John. 2 songs with the 2 artists, and they're on that record among many other cool Jack jams that are on there. And turning back to Lahaina, because you shared some really cool. You volunteered some stuff I had planned on asking anyway, but. You're born here in Honolulu?
Yeah, Wahiawa to be specific. But
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so Wahiawa General, what's the name of the hospital out there?
Yeah, Wahiawa General Hospital.
Okay, so you're born there, and when did you first, not that you can remember everything from being really little, but you mentioned it was real young. Talk about how Maui at all factors into your life, and then you obviously have personal experiences there on Lahaina. Take us to the very earliest things that you remember, and like draw again those family connections or whatever it was that put Maui in your life at what young age?
It was uncles and aunties over there that we'd go visit from time to time, and like you said, as childhood memories. Like I can remember literally playing Legos one time with my cousin. I mean, I used to call her my cousin, the Stein family, and Sarah. Yeah, anyways, it's funny as you remember it, just like thinking, what is my truly earliest memory? I remember like she was all Hanabata, just like her boogers were all dried up, and I remember playing Legos and not wanting to touch the Legos because she was, and she seemed like she had a bad cold, and like, so anyways, just from real young, we'd come over in the summertime sometimes and camp and be there, and just more throughout time. Once I had my own kids, like when we would get a chance to go to our neighbor islands, like just always wanting to learn the culture of the place, and being able to give that gift to them, to be able to, during that 2012 tour, actually, we made it like a real priority to get to visit with different nonprofit groups and kind of show our kids how people are spending their life trying to make their communities better. And so anyways, yeah, that's, as I've grown older, really trying to learn the history of places. But as a kid, yeah, just remembering the simple things like playing in the backyard and stepping on the sleepy grass and stuff like that had thorns. And
What town? What town on the island was this happening?
A lot of time in Kula we would spend. Yeah, that's where some of our closest friends are, up in Kula.
And then you would go over there and camp and stuff, and that camping was up country as well.
Not always. A lot of times coastal, and we would sometimes go to other islands too, Lanai, Molokai, and stuff.
Right.
And the boat was stationed on Maui, so a lot of times we start there and cross the channel, and then get to spend a lot of time with little stuff, just whatever you could fit in your legroom in front of you. And so some of my fondest memories is getting to spend time with my dad when he was still, before he passed away. We're just like cruising around and camping on beaches and around the islands.
How old were you?
Every summer we'd usually go. And so, yeah, just a lot of beautiful places that people would welcome us, and that, just want to keep kind of private for all the reasons of just they were welcoming to us, and it was not wanting to expose those places, but getting to spend time in beautiful spots around the islands.
Nah, that's huge. And those are and you're at this as a teenager, younger than a teenager, older, just to put is it throughout?
All the way through. I mean, from when we were real little, it was but teenage years mostly. Most of my memories were teenage years. And
when did you first play there? Because there you have that other aspect. So of course you live here, born and raised in the islands, and you're very conscientious. And anybody who knows, you've given a lot of dough and tried to support when all kinds of bad stuff has happened throughout the years. But when did you first play over there? I'm assuming you had to be somewhat young when you started to gig over there.
I didn't start playing gigs until I was 25 or something, like under my own name. We had a high school band, we had a college band and stuff like that played different music. But then when I started writing my own songs, it must have been like 25, 26 that I started putting out my first record or something. And then, we were living over in California after college, and the music kind of developed there at first, as far as like playing little clubs and stuff. And then I came back. I played Haleiwa Joe's one time, was like the first gig we did in my hometown, and then started playing around Oahu a little bit. And then I think the first time we played on Maui was for the Kokua Festival. For a few years we did one night over here, and then we do one night over on Maui, and we do at the outdoor part of the MAC, of the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. And so I think that would be the first gig, and I forget which year that would be. Maybe, I said 2005. I'm way off. 2002 or 3. My first record came out 2001, I guess it was.
That's a nice outdoor spot over there. That's where this record was recorded too, correct? Unless I have, or were you in a theater? You were not.
Yeah, this one's in the theater. Actually.
Okay, that's a nice theater too.
It's more of an acoustic thing we did later.
Yeah, that's a great theater. That's over there. And then Lahaina itself, gigs there later in your career. Did you ever play? It's not there anymore, and I don't know if Mick plans to redo his place. You ever play Fleetwood's, and have you ever played in Lahaina proper?
No, I haven't.
So no on both of those.
Show for the kids will be coming at some point over there, but it's kind of going, like, just thinking back. I haven't played a show there, but I just it just gives us time to kind of reflect. I've been trying to learn a lot about the place and reading a lot about the history, because you can't know about the future unless you know about the past, and so just trying to learn as much as I can about that area through reading and listening to folks that have a lot of the knowledge of the history of the place. And so that's been rewarding to learn more about the place.
I mean, the other day in the beginning of this, when the first signs of hope with that tree came out, and we got this statement from all these nonprofits and people, arborists who had come together, and just to read that thing was planted as a sapling in 1873, I believe was the year. And so you think about all the people's memories, and they have a great little quote on a plaque that's there that survived the fire that says it was meticulously cared for by the people of the community who shaped it and would celebrate birthdays and luau's and different things under its shade. It has like a great... Yeah. So I mean,
it just shows you that, roots can remain, and, there's a direct connection, an inherent connection between people and the Aina. So, the health of the Aina will bring health to the people, and when people are healthy, the Aina will be healthy. And so, I don't know. It's it's so hard. I'm not there. I'm just again trying to listen as much as we can, and it's such a long road.
Oh, that's it. That's what I mean. Excuse me. It's going to be a very it is going to be a very, very long road, unfortunately. But it's going to.
But you got to find. But you do have to find, little seeds of hope that will grow again, and I think it's important. And so anyway, I think that's what we're trying to do with this project: is just plant one little seed of hope, just one more small contribution to a really big, project that's going to take a long time.
But it is a seed, and just like the tree, both the president and lots of people have said that the tree is a powerful example and it's a powerful symbol. And you do that when you give people a chance to support this thing, and you'll put bugs in other people's ears too. That's the other thing, is the philanthropy aspect of it. And by putting it out there in that way and reminding people of their own memories, perhaps, when we talk about things like the tree or you as a child camping or whatever, and people have their own experiences and ways they maybe want to help give back and listen to what people's needs are in this difficult time. Well, I don't know by the time I put this on if any of those tickets will be gone, because that's going to get snapped up and out of they're probably sold out by now, huh? Did you already get a text? Tickets are gone.
I haven't looked. I mean, I'm hoping that that we'll be able to sell it out and raise good funds for the.
Come on, it's going to be the first of many, my brother. I was surprised you weren't doing the arena. And I'm sure you'll eventually get over there and put some cats together on a thing. I mean, there's so many of you in the islands, and I already have heard from other people about things on Maui Cats and Shep and everybody and what they're talking about. So, I mean, I'm sure you'll be doing many, many, many things. I know where your heart is. That's the first time I met you. It was the Kokua.
I appreciate you supporting this and getting the word out on what we're trying to do.
Remember the Kokua for Japan? That was the first time that you and I spent time together. You talk about.
Oh yeah, that's right.
2010, or whenever that was, 2011, whenever that terrible thing was. So it's kind of like we have another Kokua now for Maui, I guess. So, well, thanks for doing this, and I hope that you're able to draw a lot of attention to it and inspire other people to dig deep. And again, it's Songs for Maui. Folks can look for it, and we'll have Paula and John on that, and a lot of the songs that you'll hear at that show will be on that record too. And that's, as you said, it's an enduring way to support it, and that'll hopefully last. And hope, don't be a stranger, Jack. Love to have you on more than every several years, and sending you a big high five, and hope that you appreciate that you had fun today, and that I'm grateful for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully, next time we talk, it'll be with, happier news in the future of what's happening over there, and the support will continue.
You're doing good stuff. Thanks again, and thanks for the inspiration. You're welcome. Be safe, Bob.
Right on. Talk soon.
Aloha.